Ever had a friend kind of just vanish from your life for a bit,
Uh-huh.
and then when they come back, it's like they're a totally different person,
Yeah, I can see that.
like almost creepy different.
Okay.
Well, that's basically what happened with Lori Vallow, except with like a super dark twist and
Yeah.
two missing kids.
Yeah, this case, it just grabbed everyone's attention, and no one can figure out
Yeah,
where those children went or what their own mother had to do with it.
exactly. So we're going to try to like untangle all this
Okay.
using court stuff, what people have said, and analysis from experts
Sounds good.
to figure out what led up to this whole mess.
All right.
We'll start this deep dive back in 2019 when Lori moved to Kauai.
So think about this. Trading the Arizona desert, all that dry heat, for the lush tropics of Kauai.
Oh, yeah,
Sounds like paradise, right?
totally.
But this move for Lori, it wasn't just about a change of scenery.
Oh, okay.
It was the start of a really, really dark and disturbing change in her.
So this is where April Raymond comes in. She's important to this story.
Right.
She becomes Lori's close friend on the island
Okay.
and sees firsthand these unsettling changes in Lori.
So before the move, Lori was already having problems with her husband, Charles.
Uh-huh.
But when they got to Kauai, those problems just seemed to get worse.
Right.
And that set the stage for everything that was about to happen.
So then there's this super strange phone call that April gets.
Oh, what happened?
It's the middle of the night, and it's Lori. She's freaking out, desperate.
Wow.
She left Charles and flew back to Kauai to stay with April.
She just took off.
Yeah. And what's really weird is how Lori was acting at this time.
Really? How so?
She was carrying a bunch of burner phones, saying Charles was cheating on her, and April even describes Lori as having this manic energy.
That's not good.
No, it's like she was a completely different person.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening, just a complete 180.
Yeah, and then we meet Chad Daybell.
Oh, yeah, the author.
Yeah, he wrote all these books about the end of the world, specifically with like a Mormon spin.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've heard of his stuff.
So he meets Lori at this conference in St. George, Utah.
St. George. With all those red cliffs, it's almost like another planet.
Right.
It's like the perfect place for all of Chad's talk about dying and coming back to life.
Yeah.
And visions about the second coming and his, let's say, unique take on the scriptures.
Yeah, definitely unique.
So that's where Lori gets totally captivated by Chad and all his, well, pronouncements about their shared destiny.
Okay, this is getting kind of weird.
Yeah, he starts telling her about multiple lives and past marriages.
Oh, wow.
And this whole doctrine that puts them at the center of like this huge cosmic play.
So we've gone from Kauai to Arizona to Utah, and all this is happening while Lori's still married to Charles back in Arizona.
And Charles, he has no idea how jerk Lori's gotten with Chad.
Oh, no.
And he starts getting suspicious.
Uh-oh.
And he finds these emails between Lori and Chad that basically confirm his fears that she's cheating on him.
Right, he must have been really worried at that point.
Yeah, and it's like foreshadowing all the awful stuff that's going to happen.
And then Lori just disappears for 2 months.
Seriously.
No one knows where she went or what she was doing.
Wow, that just shows you how much deception and manipulation was already happening.
Yeah, it's like a calculated move to keep Charles in the dark.
Right, while Lori's getting closer and closer to Chad.
And then Lori just comes back like nothing happened.
So then what?
Things escalate quickly. Charles ends up getting shot and killed by Lori's brother, Alex Cox.
Oh my gosh.
And Alex says it was self-defense.
That's hard to believe.
Well, the 911 call that Alex makes after shooting Charles, it's chilling.
Really?
He's so calm, it's almost like he doesn't even care.
That's so strange. It doesn't fit at all with what you'd expect after something so violent.
Right. So then the police start investigating, and they find all these weird details and inconsistencies.
Like what?
Well, like the crime scene, Charles's house was practically empty.
Oh, wow.
And Alex's story, it doesn't really add up. And get this, Alex doesn't have any serious injuries, even though Charles was a strong guy.
That doesn't sound right.
Right. So many questions, like, why was there a gun there in the first place?
Yeah, good question.
Why didn't Alex, I mean, he was a cop before, try to calm things down?
Right.
And the biggest question, where was Lori when all this went down?
Yeah, where was she?
It's just a whole mess of events, and this is just the start.
Okay, so what happens next?
Well, Charles's death, it changes everything. It pushes Lori even further down a path of lies and darkness.
This is heavy stuff.
It is, and it's only going to get more intense from here.
Oh, boy.
So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next part of our deep dive into the case of Lori Vallow and her missing kids.
I'll be here. What's crazy is that Lori was actually there when Charles and Alex got into it,
Right.
But she left before the cops got there.
She just took off
Yeah.
after her husband had been shot.
Yeah, and when the police talked to her later, she admitted she was there and saw the whole thing.
So what did she say? Why'd she leave?
She said that she and her daughter Tylee had taken JJ to school and were just getting back.
Oh.
But remember, this is just her side of the story.
Yeah, it does seem like a pretty convenient excuse.
You can decide for yourself, but the fact is, Lori and Tylee were gone when the police showed up.
Right.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the weird and disturbing stuff that happens.
Okay, so where do the kids fit into all of this?
This is where things take an even darker turn.
Oh.
After Charles died, Lori and her kids, JJ and Tylee, they moved to Rexburg, Idaho.
Rexburg?
Yeah, that's the place Chad said was going to be the gathering spot for the 144,000.
Oh, right, the chosen ones.
Yeah, it does sound like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
So Lori and Chad, they start talking more and more.
Uh-huh. Their bond gets even stronger because of their shared beliefs.
But what about Chad's wife, Tammy? What's going on with her during all of this?
That's a great question, and it's a crucial part of this whole thing.
Okay.
Tammy Daybell dies just a few weeks after Lori moves to Rexburg.
Hold on. First, Lori's husband dies, and now Chad's wife is gone too. This is just too suspicious.
You're noticing a pattern here, and that's important.
Yeah.
At first, they said Tammy died from natural causes, but later on, investigators weren't so sure.
What kind of doubts did they have?
Well, the stories people were telling about how Tammy died didn't match up.
Oh, well.
And remember, Chad wrote all these books about the end of the world and near-death experiences.
Right, so people started thinking maybe his writing wasn't just fiction anymore.
Exactly, and the timing of Tammy's death so soon after Lori shows up, it just seemed like more than a coincidence.
And just to clarify, Lori and Chad were still married to their spouses at this point, right?
Technically, yeah, but their connection was way more intense than just friendship at this point.
Right.
They saw themselves as like soulmates on a spiritual level,
Oh, wow.
destined to lead the chosen people into some kind of new world.
It's like a dangerous mix of delusion and manipulation.
Exactly.
So where are JJ and Tylee in all of this?
That's the big question, the one everyone wants an answer to.
Yeah.
The last time anyone saw JJ and Tylee alive was September of 2019.
19, okay.
JJ was enrolled in a new school in Rexburg,
Uh-huh.
but he was quickly taken out of school.
By Lori.
Yeah, she said she was going to homeschool him,
Okay.
but people who knew JJ said he seemed sad and withdrawn.
Oh, that's awful, poor kid.
What about Tylee?
Yeah, what happened to her?
The last time anyone saw her for sure was on a family trip to Yellowstone.
Yellowstone, wow.
There's a photo of her with JJ and Alex at the entrance to the park.
Okay.
And after that, she just disappears.
So both kids disappear soon after getting to Rexburg, and Lori and Chad are right in the middle of it all.
That's exactly right.
It's terrifying.
As more and more people get worried about the kids, Lori and Chad start avoiding everyone.
Did anyone try to talk to them about it?
Oh, yeah. Family and friends started asking questions. But Lori and Chad just gave these vague answers, saying the kids were safe but couldn't be reached.
Couldn't be reached. What does that even mean?
It was just a way to dodge the question and not give a real answer.
Oh, I see.
They said the kids were with friends or family, but they wouldn't say who.
This is just getting more and more disturbing.
It is.
So were the police involved at this point?
Yeah, law enforcement finally started an investigation into the kids' disappearance.
Okay.
But Lori and Chad wouldn't cooperate at all. They just stonewalled the investigators every step of the way.
It's like they were playing some kind of messed up game.
And the stakes couldn't be higher. We're talking about 2 young lives.
Right.
And this whole web of lies and dangerous beliefs surrounding their disappearance. So as the police are trying to figure out where the kids are,
Yeah.
Lori and Chad do something completely shocking.
What they
They ditch Idaho and run off.
Seriously.
They end up in Hawaii, living it up like they don't have a care in the world.
Well, their kids are still missing. I just can't wrap my head around that.
It really shows you how twisted their thinking had become. They honestly believed they were above the law, like their spiritual beliefs somehow protected them,
Wow.
and being part of the 144,000 made them untouchable.
But they couldn't hide forever.
Nope. The authorities eventually caught up with them in Hawaii. Both Lori and Chad were arrested.
Okay, good. So they're finally going to have to answer for all of this.
Lori was charged with abandoning her kids and not supporting them,
Uh-huh.
and Chad had to face charges about Tammy's death.
So they're facing some serious consequences, but we still don't know where JJ and Tylee are.
Right, and Lori and Chad weren't talking. They refused to tell anyone anything about where the kids might be.
It's just heartbreaking, all those families searching for answers.
And then the worst possible news comes out.
Oh no, what happened?
They found the remains of JJ and Tylee. buried on Chad's property in Idaho.
Oh my gosh, that's just devastating.
It just confirmed what everyone was afraid of. Lori and Chad were involved.
Yeah, there's no denying it now.
All that talk about being righteous and chosen, it was all a lie, and the truth was horrifying.
It's just so disturbing. How could anyone do something like that to their own children?
Well, the prosecution had a theory. They thought that Lori and Chad believed the kids were, get this, zombies.
Zombies? Seriously?
Yeah, like they thought the kids were possessed by evil spirits that had to be destroyed.
That's straight out of a horror movie. It's just too much.
It really gives you a glimpse into how messed up their belief system was.
Yeah.
They actually seemed to believe that the kids weren't really human anymore,
Wow.
that they were in the way of them reaching salvation.
This whole case, it's just unbelievable. It shows how powerful manipulation can be.
Yeah.
And how dangerous it is to believe something without questioning it.
It's a reminder that even people we think we know can be capable of terrible things.
So what happened to Lori and Chad?
Well, they both had separate trials. It was all over the news. After a long and intense trial, Lori was found guilty of everything, including murdering JJ and Tylee.
Wow.
She got life in prison, no chance of parole.
And Chad?
Same thing. He was found guilty of murdering JJ and Tylee and his wife, Tammy.
Oh, wow.
He got life in prison, too.
So they were finally held accountable for what they did.
Yeah. But even though there's some justice, the pain of this case is going to last a long time.
Right. Those families have to live with this loss forever.
And there are still questions that may never be answered.
This whole deep dive, it's been heavy. It's taken us to some pretty dark places.
It has.
But I think it's also a reminder that we need to be careful about who we trust.
Yeah.
And to always be willing to question what we believe.
That's so important.
And most importantly, to cherish the people we love. Because you never know what tomorrow might bring.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
Of course, and thanks to all of you for listening. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss our next episode.
We'll see you then.